G'day, Alex Moss here from Tactical Arbitrage, and in this video we'll have a look at the second section of filters. And in case I hadn't already mentioned it, you can open and close these little filters using these arrows here, or you can open and close all the filters at once using the double arrow up in the top right corner of the filters as well. But for now I'm just going to open up this remove section of filters, and we can have a talk about that. So there's quite a few in here to cover. But we'll start with the most obvious one, which is the top left one, remove ranks over. Now, remove ranks over. So, let's assume you're in the toys category and you want to never see anything over 350,000 rank. Because at that point, the sales are becoming a bit of a trickle. And, you know, personally, I like to still play in the fringes of what sells because less people are out there selling those items, and you might still stumble upon something with a good ROI that sells once or twice a week, and certainly that is still an income for you and may well be worthwhile pursuing. But at some point you are going to have a threshold, and that's where this remove ranks over comes in. Now, originally Tactical Arbitrage only ever looked at the current ranks, but now you can select the average 30-day rank or the average 90-day rank, and a lot of people do like to set that for say 30 or 90 days and make sure that the ranks that they're seeing are only based on the average period in question. One more thing that I'll say before I move away from ranks is that when we get to the settings section, there is a setting that we can apply where we actually insert every single threshold that you are willing to accept for every single category. So you may go through there and say, I don't want to see anything over a 10,000 rank in shoes, a 300,000 rank in toys, a 250,000 rank in sports, and so on. And you may have all these thresholds that you're familiar with and that you're comfortable with using. And you can go through and you can set all of those in the settings. And then what that will do is it will automatically, once that's activated, it will automatically apply those thresholds to your scans category by category. It's a really handy thing to do if you're scanning something like using Easy Bulk, which jumps around from different categories to different categories. And you don't just want to set in one arbitrary cutoff rank here like 250,000. And you'd rather sort of contain the ranks depending on the category that you're working with at the time. So that setting, which we will be discussing when we get to the settings videos, will affect this particular type of filter for removing ranks over a certain amount. Really handy setting, and also a really handy filter. I like to not over filter. Like I wouldn't populate a lot of these boxes simultaneously, because you may end up, for example, removing a 351,000 rank, and let's say, for example, you've got a rank filter plus a really extreme return on investment filter. You might find a really high rank with a low return on investment, or a really high return on investment on a really low rank, and your filters might cancel each other out. So it's better to use less filters than too many. But in general, the rank filter is commonly used. So the next filter is remove products if the number of sellers is more than. So this is pretty simple. If you don't want to compete with 100 sellers, you might put in there, only show me if there is less than, say, 100 sellers. Personally, I don't use that filter. I like to see the results and then decide from there if I want to compete against that number of people, depending on the return on investment. Remove third-party results from sellers. Now, this currently works for Walmart and Sears, and what this will do is if you've got third-party sellers that are currently owning the results on, say, Walmart, for example, like it's a Walmart third-party seller who's selling the product, you may decide you don't really want to deal with those third-party sellers, and this will eliminate those people from your results. Removing oversized products is fairly straightforward. If you don't want to deal with those great big boxes that can come, then you can eliminate seeing any products that are oversized and only see the standard sized products. Removing out of stock products. So this works particularly well if you're doing a live scan. Obviously, if you're using what's called a cached scan, which will be discussed in the upcoming settings, you may select remove out of stock products, but the product may have gone out of stock in the time the cache has been set. So you need to take that into account. However, you may remove out of stock products, and if the software sees that the product is not in stock, it will eliminate that from your results as well. Remove if Amazon contains no weight or size data. Now this is kind of an interesting one because sometimes Amazon does not have the weight or the size data in their database. Now obviously they have it somewhere in the very back end, because at the end of the day they still sell these items and they still calculate the fees on these items effectively. But you can detect this by, if you were to go into the Seller Central calculator and then enter the particular ASIN in mind, it will spit out an inaccurate calculation on the fees, and it'll indicate there that you need to enter in the dimensions and the weight to get the accurate data. Now, what happens with this in Tactical Arbitrage is when we display these items to you in the View Data page, we actually mark these as red items because the fees are not properly calculated. We can't do much about it. So we actually do a little sneaky thing where we insert a fake 1 pound box of a certain size and dimensions, and then that will calculate some fees for you. But the fees aren't going to be 100% accurate when Amazon doesn't have this data in their database. So what we do is we've also created this filter here which will allow you to remove if Amazon has these items with no weight or size data. You particularly do see these in the beauty category, I've found. Now remove if Amazon is also a seller now in stock. Now many people don't have any problems competing with Amazon at all. However, I mean I've never had an item not sell eventually, even if Amazon is on the listing. However, some people are a little bit anathema to selling on the same listing that Amazon also sells on. So you can tick this box and remove any results if Amazon is also a seller and now in stock on your listing. Getting through them. Now, remove if the number of reviews is less than. So this is also pretty straightforward. If there's only 7 reviews and you said remove if there's less than 8 reviews, then it's not going to show you that product, for example. Remove if the rating is lower than. Same sort of thing. If the rating is lower than, say, 3.5. And I actually find this one's handier to use than the number of reviews, because if it's a terribly rated product, say if it's a 1-star or a 2-star product, then you're more likely to actually get a bad review, and it'll be misdirected because sometimes that bad review will be pretty much based on a terrible product. However, they send that bad review to the purchase experience instead, and then you've got to go and fight that review. So this is the kind of handy one to use. Remove if the rating is lower than, say, 3, just so that you're not dealing with substandard products in your sales. Remove products with an Amazon price of less than. Okay, so this one is commonly used. So let's say Amazon has some products there that are $15 items or less. You may not want to sell those because there may not be much profit margin in them. That's not to say you might not be getting a really good wholesale price, and you may see that $15 is actually good for you to still sell at. But this will allow you to set some thresholds here. So let's say you may want to say never sell anything that's less than $10 on Amazon or $12 on Amazon. It'll certainly allow you to filter out some of those really low priced things with minimal profit margin. Remove products if the Amazon title contains the words. Now this is pretty cool. If Amazon title contains certain words that you don't want to see, let's say the word bundle, for instance. Let's say Amazon products got a bundle of 17 like Neopets type products, or bundle of 8 tubes of toothpaste. Then you can put the word bundle in here. And the way this works, and I will actually show you because this comes up in questions a lot. If you wanted to do this for multiple words, like 7 count toothpaste, 4 pack of sponges, for instance, you may want to get rid of multiple products that have different words such as bundle, pack, count. You can actually separate these by comma, bundle, pack, count, and it will go through, and if it sees those words in the Amazon product, it will once again remove those from the results. 2 to go. Remove product if Amazon buy box is not at least X times the store price. Now this filter may soon be getting removed because it's less important now that we've sped up the software. But when the software once upon a time ran a lot slower, we put that in there so that once it hit this filter, it wouldn't continue on to the next step if it didn't meet the criteria. So what it basically means, and for the most part you can probably leave it blank, but if you want to hear what it's about, I'll tell you now. Essentially what it is if you're saying that you only want to see something that is at least 1.7 times the store price, what that means is if you've got an item on target.com, for example, for $10, and it's not at least $17 over at Amazon, then also don't continue running any more calculations. So it will save you a fraction of a second if you do have this filter utilized, but it's not enough of a time saving these days that I'd continue this filter being here for much longer. So you may notice in the near future that this video talks about a filter that is no longer even there. Lastly, we have for seasonal buy box prices in calculations, use an average price date range. So what this particularly means is, let's say for example you wanted to just have a look at textbooks right before school season, or maybe backpacks right before back to school season. Then what you can do is you can scan a category of backpacks, and you can say, I only want to compare the prices now between the buy price, the source price that I'm buying it for today, and the price Amazon was during a seasonal, more profitable period, so that I can get a good indication whether I could stock up on these items and then sell them again during those back to school seasons, for example, or Christmas seasons, or Easter seasons, or Valentine's, or whatever season that we would expect a spike in this particular type of product. So there's quite a few filters in that particular category. That is the remove filter section. And what this section is essentially about is removing a bunch of products that don't fit, or do fit in this case, your particular criteria. Thanks for that. That was quite a mouthful, and I'm now going to move on to the next video. Cheers.